Godzilla here, and let's take a look at possibly the best modern Godzilla film ever made. A film that took Godzilla back to his roots and brings the franchise a well-needed return to the classic Godzilla. Let's look at Godzilla Minus One. In 1954, the original Godzilla film was released. It changed cinema forever and has become the longest-running franchise in film history. The film pioneered special effects and had a great story to tell. From characters, action, music, and plenty more, the film has become a masterpiece of kaiju media. As an allegory for the powerful weapons that man has created, and the terrors that they bring, Godzilla truly is a film that is more than what it seems. Now 69 years later, a lot has changed. Godzilla is a global phenomenon that can't be stopped. We have the MonsterVerse, animated shows and films, countless comics, collabs, and the return to Suit Mason. We are currently living in the best era of Godzilla, even if personally my favorite is the Showa era. And over the last few years, Toho has been very experimental with the flagship franchise. Instead of the more traditional Godzilla, we have a constant transforming Godzilla, a world-ending Godzilla, a time-warping Godzilla. To be honest, I couldn't understand what that show was trying to do, but that's beside the point. The point is, Toho has been inconsistent with Godzilla over the last few years, with America being the ones to give us the classic Godzilla. I believe that America has been treating Godzilla better than Toho has, but with this new film, I think that's about to change. I've been a Godzilla fan for as long as I can remember, but while I grew up, my favorite era became the Showa era. An era that started out very serious in tone and story, but as time went on, a more stylish feel was taken, to say the least. That's something that is very complicated and deserves its own video, but those early Showa films always stuck with me. They took a more serious tone than the rest, and that is what Godzilla Minus One does. While the MonsterVerse is quickly following the path of the latter Showa era took, Toho has brought us the Godzilla that has been long gone. Godzilla Minus One follows Koichi Shikishima, a failed kamikaze pilot who is haunted by his past, and his lover, Noriko Oshii, a woman who is fostering a baby she took in during the war. There are plenty of great Godzilla characters throughout the films, but these two really stand out as some of the greats. Koichi struggles to deal with his past and is constantly haunted by it, even when he is having happy moments. Meanwhile, Noriko goes out and betters herself, getting a job and taking care of the adopted child. Noriko, despite not being the main character, has an overwhelming presence over Koichi. She really stands out as someone who cares, and you want to see her more, and I love the fact that she is a main drive for what Koichi does. Which brings us to Koichi. Koichi is a man that, although cowardly, can give it his all when time calls. His job, destroying leftover mines from the war, leads to an amazing interaction with Godzilla that will have the audience at the edge of their seats. Koichi and Noriko's dynamic in the film shows how families at the time were struggling yet found comfort in each other, and despite not having the best places to live or the easiest accessibility to basic goods, they come together and are a family you don't want to see torn apart. Especially because the baby they take in quickly becomes a small child, and our scenes, although short, can be heartbreaking. Now, although I didn't cry, I did come close to certain scenes later in the film. Like Gia before her, she is easily one of the best child characters in the Godzilla franchise. Now, although the human characters are a big part of the film, let's be honest, most people are coming in to see the true main character. Godzilla is an absolute beast in this film. This Godzilla is very animal-like, yet has certain details that tell a lot about it. The eyes show an intention to kill, yet show intelligence. He moves with the mass of a giant beast, his atomic breath works like the atomic bombs, and his attacks are more brutal than ever. When Godzilla attacks Japan and the military, he is vicious, and unlike before, he goes for the kill, and it really looks like he's trying to cause chaos. Many Godzillas before this seem like animals that destroy things because of the sheer size, and not out of intention. And although we get some shots that show this, Godzilla shows a Kong-like intelligence in the film. What I mean is that Kong is a kaiju that is very smart and uses his surroundings around him to help him out, and this Godzilla is no different. For example, when fighting a ship, Godzilla grabs a ship and using his other hand he punches it, but when that doesn't work, he goes under the ship and blasts it with his atomic breath, instantly destroying it. Yet he still shows his animal-like intelligence that only an animal would have. The film has the same, if not close to a budget, as Shin Godzilla. That film released in 2016 and was praised for their special effects, with it looking better than the MonsterVerse films. And despite being fully CGI, it was so good that people thought certain shots were actual puppets or props. But this film does that better. The visual effects are amazing, and although some shots look iffy, they are quick, and the film sucks you in so much that you won't really notice them. But besides a handful of shots that look a bit iffy, the film looks beautiful, and Godzilla looks like a creature you could touch. At times, more real than the man in suit eras, which I never thought I would say about the CGI Godzillas. The visual effects really show in the film's biggest scene, when Godzilla attacks Japan. The crumbling buildings, atomic breath, and of course, Godzilla's attack all look incredible. Not to mention how insane the water looks in this film. A lot of people compare this film to Jaws, and I can see why, with Godzilla's scenes in the water truly making it feel like a beast that you can't control and can't defeat. And the CGI to make those scenes look realistic is impeccable, and it looks incredible on screen. The film is quickly becoming a massive success in both America and Japan, and I can see why. It has a great balance between characters, tension, music, Godzilla, and humans, and plenty more. People are loving this film, and Toho has noticed with the American theatrical run being extended. As of this video's making, the movie has made $14 million in the US and $3 billion in Japan. The audience is loving this film, and hopefully this leads to more Godzilla films being released in theaters outside of Japan like they used to. This film may mark an important time in Godzilla history, which a massive success outside of Japan and widely accepted as possibly the best Godzilla film ever made. Now, I'm not of the opinion that this is the best Godzilla film made, but I can see why people think it is. With everything I've said, I think it's easy to see why this film is the best modern Godzilla film. Now let's talk about spoilers. I'm going to be going in depth about some stuff I've talked about and some more. So for those of you who haven't seen the film yet, skip to this time code. So with all those people who don't want to see spoilers, let's get in depth about the film. Odo Island is a fictional place first introduced in the original Godzilla, and I love how it was brought back. When Godzilla was first shown off in the original film, it was meant to be a grand yet also scary moment. The first time you see this monster, he appears out of nowhere and towers over all the people. Meanwhile, with this film, Godzilla arrives, and like the original, wherever Godzilla is, he leaves traces of another species. Godzilla comes out of the ocean and is a beast that completely ravages the military. But later on, when Godzilla is fully on land, he is a menace that can't be stopped. Godzilla conveys both intelligence and also a monster that destroys stuff just because of his size, and it's the best of both worlds. For example, when Godzilla tries to take down a building, he realizes it isn't coming down as easily as expected, so he turns around and instantly destroys it with his tail. Meanwhile, as he walks away, his leg destroys a building next to him. And later in the film, when Godzilla is defeated, he is tied around the waist with a wire, and he doesn't realize what's happening. This makes sense seeing as he is focused on the giant ships around him, instead of some wire barely touching him. Something that only an animal would think like. Yet when he's dunked into the water and then brought back up, he destroys the object that was bringing him back up, showing that he was smart enough to realize that the object around him was causing him harm, thus leading to him destroying it. During this scene, my favorite part of the film played. While Godzilla is battling the citizens of Japan, the main theme song from King Kong vs. Godzilla plays. This made me extremely happy. For those of you who don't know, the original King Kong vs. Godzilla is my favorite film ever made, and I never have been able to see it on the big screen, so being able to hear this song was amazing and blew my mind. It might be my favorite moment in all of modern Godzilla, and possibly this film. When the film was coming out, director Yamazaki talked about how this film has shots that take inspiration from GMK, and I caught at least a few. The two I'll bring up here is that when Godzilla fires his atomic breath, the aftermath creates a mushroom cloud like what happened in GMK. And another one, of course, the ending, is just the ending of GMK. There are plenty of spoilers to talk about, but for now, I'll stop. They'll let me know if I should make a video looking at only spoilers down in the comments below, because I have a lot to say about this movie. Alright, now that we are done talking about spoilers, let's talk about some stuff that won't spoil the film for you. Or hey, if you skip to this section via the time code, go back to the spoiler part after you watch the film for some more fun. Now anyways, the music. The film has a great use of original music, but I want to talk about one of the classics that has come back. There's one instance I want to talk about, and that is when Godzilla's main theme is used when he attacks Japan. The theme gets you ready and pumped for Godzilla. You watch as the camera pans up to Godzilla and you see him walking to the shot, ready to cause complete chaos. Especially because at this point in the film, you have seen and know Godzilla isn't something to be messed with, and like Godzilla's entrance in King of the Monsters, it gave me goosebumps. This film is looking to change history, and hopefully leads us into a new era of Godzilla films coming to the States and theaters. The film is demolishing the box office and has become a massive success, with talks about a sequel possibly happening, though we have no confirmation on if it will happen. After all, Shin Godzilla was a massive success, but never got a sequel. This film opens a new door for Godzilla history, and I'm excited for it. What may happen is Toho, if they want to, can start a new universe of Godzilla, finally returning him to his roots. A universe already widely loved with characters people want to see more of, and of course a Godzilla that is dominating the world. This could happen, and I'd be surprised if Toho doesn't do this. Shin Godzilla's sequel went into a more championship festival type of feel. Imagine Godzilla vs. Gigan. And yet, it never happened. I imagine if greenlit, we wouldn't get that. We get another serious film that gives us a love letter to Godzilla's history. Godzilla Minus One has given us a film that brings the King of the Monsters back to his roots, and director Yamazaki nailed Godzilla. For those who don't know, he has made 3 versions of Godzilla so far, and he clearly has a style for him. A powerful creature that destroys everything in its path, and is a menace that can't be stopped. With this latest version, I think he finally created the perfect rendition that he could have made. Now, though not my favorite Godzilla film, it's easily in my top 10, and has really good rewatch value. So either in cinemas or home media, go see Godzilla Minus One, and support what may be the start of something new. I could talk about this film days and days on end, but hey, let me know if you want to see me talk more in depth about it in a spoiler video. I want to apologize if I mispronounce any Japanese names. And with all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and Godzilla 62, signing off.